great one right there. Good to see Mark Levin. I tell you what, that video wants to make you jump out of your seat and go vote right now to elect Donald Trump to be our next president. It's an honor to be here. You know, I continue to find something as I travel across the country going to states outside the state of Texas. There are still people who, when I meet them, they will kind of say something almost sheepishly that they had seen me a lot on TV, but they never really knew that I was in a wheelchair. That happened again yesterday when I was meeting some people here at this convention, and I explained to them what happened. But it dawned on me the fact that I know there's a lot of Texans in the room today, and they all know my story. But there probably still are some people outside of Texas who really don't know my story. So I'll tell it quickly and actually use it to connect to the rest of my remarks. I was 26 years old and was very athletic. One day I went out for a jog, and while I was out jogging, a huge oak tree about as tall as the ceiling in this room crashed down onto my back, fracturing my vertebrae into my spinal cord, piercing it in a way that I would never be able to walk again. Obviously, my body was crushed. Seemingly, my life was crushed. My hopes, my dreams, my aspirations were crushed. Things that you take for granted that you would be able to do on a daily basis, such as just reaching on a top shelf in the kitchen to grab a drinking glass or a plate, the things you normally do every single day, were immediately eliminated from my life. I could have quit. I could have given up. I could have resigned to basically achieving nothing or far little in life. But you know, that is actually contrary to the spirit that all of us have in our lives. And I was not going to let this new challenge deny me the ability to live a full and productive life. I learned what many people here have experienced themselves, and that is our lives are not defined by how we are challenged. Instead, we define them and determine them by deciding that we are going to respond to challenges in a way that will put us on a productive pathway. With the God-given good fortune that I was born in the great state of Texas that provides as much opportunity as any political entity in the entire world, I knew that I had the opportunity to achieve my dreams. And think about it, in Texas we have so much opportunity that a young man, 26 years old, can have his back broken in half and still rise up and be governor of that great state. That is what Texas offers. There's a connection here with what I want to talk to you about today. It's the reality that characteristic, that we're not defined by our challenges, but instead by the way that we respond to those challenges. That is extraordinarily true to Israel, to the Jewish community across the entire globe when you look at events today. No country in the world faces the daily onslaught of missiles being fired upon it like Israel. No country faces daily terrorist attacks like Israel. But Israel refuses to be defined by those attacks. Instead, they chart their future. They're charting their survival by how they respond to those challenges. On October the 7th, Israel faced one of the most unprecedented, most extraordinary challenges of our time. 3 weeks after the attack on Israel, I went to Israel. I went to Israel to show Texas stands with Israel, period. I saw firsthand the carnage caused by Hamas. It could be categorized in no way other than the fact that it was sheer evil. The international community must speak with clarity and call this what it is. It is murder. It is terrorism, and it must be abolished. Several things can be true at the same time. One, Israel must be allowed to eliminate Hamas. Two, the United States must do everything possible to help Israel in that cause. Three, all hostages must be returned. I met yesterday with the parents of Omer, a young man who remains a hostage. They wear a little patch on their shoulder with numbers on it. The numbers are the number of days since Omer was taken hostage. Their mission in life right now is to find a pathway to reconciliation with their son. They deserve to be able to achieve that reconciliation. No one left behind. It's more than a military maxim or a battle cry for both the United States and Israel. It's part of the ethos of who we are as Americans and Israelis. Bring home everyone is what our cause and mission in life as people, as countries. During my trip, I visited a hospital in Tel Aviv. I met with victims all of whom were about the same age as my own daughter. Victims who had been shot by Hamas at the music festival. These young kids had their bodies ripped apart by Hamas. They told stories about Hamas bombing medical tents, how Hamas was using RPGs to attack ambulances that were transporting injured Israelis. It clearly shows that Hamas will stop at nothing to target and to kill Israelis and Jews. I also met with Prime Minister Netanyahu, President Herzog, and the Foreign Minister. They explained the dire necessity of eliminating Hamas. Israel cannot have peace. The world cannot have peace until Hamas is gone. This war against Hamas is being fought by Israel. But make no mistake, this is a proxy war by Iran against our ally and indirectly against the United States. That is why this election is so important. We need a president who will support Israel without flinching. We need a president who has the backbone to not only ensure that Hamas is eliminated, but also to ensure that the threat of Iran is eliminated for once and for all. What we need is Donald Trump back in the White House. You all know Trump has been an unflinching champion for the people of Israel. He will make clear to the world that the United States-Israel alliance remains an unbreakable bond. And let me be clear. Texas stands unequivocally with the Jewish community in the United States and in Israel. And I'm taking action to support those words. I signed a law that prevents Texas state agencies from doing business with companies that do business with Iran. In Texas, we don't do business with regimes that seek to wipe Israel off the face of the earth, regimes that promise death to America. We don't do business with those folks. I also signed anti-BDS laws that prevent state agencies from doing business with companies that boycott Israel. There are many examples about how we enforce this. I'll give you just one. When Airbnb imposed discriminatory policies against Israelis in the West Bank, Texas banned Texas agencies from doing business with Airbnb. To combat the shocking rise in anti-Semitism, I created the Texas Holocaust, Genocide, and Anti-Semitism Advisory Committee. Anti-Semitism has no place in Texas. To keep our Jewish community safer in Texas amidst a rise in threats against them, I provided $10 million to secure places of worship like synagogues. And when the anti-Semitic Palestinian protesters who hijacked institutions like NYU and UCLA made the mistake of thinking they would come to Texas and pull off that same idiotic prank, I said, not in Texas. There's only one way to deal with this, not the pathway of appeasement of what you saw NYU try to do, literally negotiating with terrorists. Same thing with UCLA and countless schools and states in between. When these protesters stepped on the grounds of the University of Texas at Austin, trying to set up encampments and trying to do what they did in Austin, Texas, what they did in these other states, we were prepared a day in advance. I had lined up the Texas Department of Public Safety, and the moment these protesters set foot on campus, the Texas Department of Public Safety was ordered to immediately not appear in your riot gear and arrest them and send them to jail, which is where they belong. That, by the way, is a Texas band. ZZ Top. I used to hang out with them a little bit. But it echoes what we do. In Texas, we take care of business. We don't put up with these anti-Semitic attacks in the state of Texas. You know, for decades, Jews have recounted the horrors of the Holocaust, and they've reminded us, at first, they come for the Jews. Then, they come for you. That foreshadowing has extraordinary resonance today. It is shocking to see a seeming replay of the Holocaust with Jews being killed for the reason that they are Jews. We've seen this hostility percolating in the United States with increasing actions with Palestinian and anti-Semitic protests turning violent and dangerous and physically threatening Jews in communities across the country. Well, in Texas, and I believe in America, we stand with the biblical connection between Christians and Jews, a connection that has been translated through time as one between the United States and Israel, a bond that will not be broken. All of us, we have a duty to uphold that biblical ancestry, a duty to ensure the safety and security of all Jews across America. And in that calling, we must be unyielding. Together, we will ensure that our children, our grandchildren, live in a world that is not defined by the challenges that we are facing today, but instead by the way that we responded to those challenges. May God bless you in your endeavors, and may God bless the United States of America.